Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live, bro?
Are we live?
Are we live? This is the question that everybody wants to know. Chat, are we live? Can you hear us? What's
Can
going
you
on?
hear us?
What's happening? You need to let us know if you can hear us. You need to let us know if we're actually live. In which case, we're just talking to nobody. In fact, if I go on the terrace now, if I go on the
Should be
football
able to see if we
terrace.
are live. They'll soon tell us in the chat if we're not. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, but the
They're pretty
terrace,
good.
sometimes this chat, man, they play games with us, innit? Sometimes
Yeah,
the
it says
chat.
we're live. It says we're live, man.
Yo, Terry hooked. Terry Hook is hooked, bro. Well, we've got control, man. Yo, LB and Potts clear. Come on,
Big up, man.
bro.
Big up, man. Big
Let's
up. Big
fucking
up.
go, guys. I'll tell you what's happening on today's show. Yeah, we're not speaking about City. We're not speaking about Arsenal. Yeah, because me and Dan are in the dumps. Yeah, we're in the trenches. We are in the trenches. Oh, yeah, actually, you might be able to bring up the comments. You might be able to bring up the comments yourself. Yo, buzzing, man. Come on. It actually worked, bro. That's our madness. Right, what was on the agenda, bro? Can you see the title of the stream? What did he want us to speak
Yeah,
about?
man. Guardiola's ready to quit. Rashford and Ashworth to Arsenal. Cole Palmer, is he the best in the Premier League? And our Tottenham finished. Well, the last bit, we all know. Tottenham never got started, mate. So
Do you want to
that's
start?
the
Do you
way
want to
we'll do
start
with them.
by
That.
cooking Tottenham?
I mean, I can always start by cooking Tottenham. It's always fun. I mean, our weekends weren't the best, bruv. I'm not going to lie to you. Arsenal and City were both pretty much in the mud as well. But I look at what Tottenham are doing, and it's actually hilarious. I don't know any other club that do what they do. You go 2-0 up, and I thought they're going to be Spursy, and then they end up being even more Spursy than Spurs by being Spursy and losing the game. But what makes me laugh is, what is the problem at Tottenham? Like, let me ask you that. What is the problem at Tottenham? Because people talk about Spurs being Andrew's the issue. The players aren't good enough, even though Andrew spent 400 million euros on this squad. And then you look at Daniel Levy, and then you look at the stadium, and you look at everything that it's got in terms of the F1 track and the concert and the gigs and everything else that's going on. I don't actually care. For me, it's just beautiful to watch. I can't stand their fan base. They start giving it all the time, don't they? They get very cocky. They were cocky with you only, 2 weeks ago when they beat you and cooked you 4-0.
Did they try to cook me, man?
Come to us, LB. Come down to our
I
level.
know
Come and have a chat with
this is what I
us.
mean. You know, with the Spurs here. So at the moment, I'm looking at the Premier League table. Right, they're 11th. They got 20 points, man. So they're already 15 points behind Liverpool, and they're 15 points off the bottom of the table, Southampton. So they're very nicely mid-table. Here's the problem for me when it comes to Spurs, bro. I just think the whole way that football club is operated, yeah, is backwards. Yeah, they don't buy the players that they should buy. Yeah, they buy the Odeberts of this world and the Sergi Bergwines and that kind of stuff. Like, Man City are never buying Odebert or Bergwijn, some guy like that, yeah. They buy players like that who, like, nobody else wants. And it's like you're going into a casino, bro, and putting it on, like, red or black or whatever. And it's weird. And I think, for me, their owners, I think, are the worst owners in the Premier League. I genuinely believe that they're the worst owners in the Premier League, right? Because they have the funds, yeah? They have the funds, but the way they deploy the money is shambolic. Now, people will say, oh, the Glazers are worse, the Glazers are worse. Yeah, but the Glazers are bad in the sense that they take money out of the football club, right? But they still allow people they still allow the guys at the top to spend money. Look at him.
Can you hear me?
I can hear him.
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes!
Yo, it's back, man.
We're back! But I'll leave you in the middle, LB. You're hosting today, so I'm going to sit here and chill. There we go.
Get me out of here, man. You host.
There we go. We got some sound back. Well done, gents, for
Wow.
holding the fort there. Holding the fort. So, yeah, we're back. Back on. You're speaking Spurs. Continue the cooking.
Yeah, no, the thing is with me for Spurs, yeah, is like, if you actually look at the money that they've spent serious money. I found, yeah, what was it now? Was it like CIES Football Observatory, or it might have been like KPMG or like one of the big guys, but like, anyway, some big reputable firm, yeah, did a list of revenue. And Spurs, I think, were 8th in the whole world in terms of club revenue, yeah? There is a reason that Tottenham Hotspur are the only club in the Big Six not to have won anything in the last 20 years. It's because of their own. They don't spend the money properly. Even Arsenal, in their banter era, won stuff, yeah? Even United, in the worst season they've ever had in the Premier League, picked up an FA Cup. Liverpool have picked up stuff over the years, yeah? Chelsea, Yeah, they had a terrible season under Frank Lampard, sacked him, won Champions League. Tottenham are the only club in the big six that don't win anything. And you've got to ask yourself why. And for me, the biggest, easiest, example that you can possibly give, right, is that they sacked Jose Mourinho, a week before the final, bro. A week before the final against Manchester City. And for me, that's just a madness. I've turned my mic up, by the way, guys. Yeah, that's just a madness for me. The fact that they had a manager, in Jose Mourinho, who probably for me is one of the best managers at beating Pep Guardiola in a one-off single game, and you sacked him and put Ryan Mason in charge. Nah, that club is infected from the inside, man. And until them owners go, until that board goes, they just ain't going to do anything. And you know what? Ange has his problems, right? We all know that Ange has his problems, yeah? But for me, I feel a little bit sorry for the guy because I genuinely think he walked in there thinking that he could change that football club. But you ain't changing the club. Mourinho couldn't do it. Yeah, Poch couldn't do it. Conte couldn't do it. You ain't doing it, Ange, mate. And I fear for him because I think for me, Ange, I don't think he's a great manager, but I think he's an all right manager. But I think he might go down with a sinking ship if he stays there. I really do.
Do you know what's funny, right? If I said to you boys, right, I need a centre half, could you give me 50 million? They've said, yeah, go on then, here's 50 million. And they've gone and selected Davinson Sanchez, right? That was who they got, 47 million pounds for him. And then they said, can I have a winger, please? Premier League proven one. How much do I get? I get 50 million. Okay, Brennan Johnson's the guy I want, please. And then they give you 65 million pounds and you go and buy Richarlison. So, look, Arsenal, Man United, maybe even City at times have got recruitment wrong, very wrong in parts. But Tottenham's is an absolute shambles. And what actually makes it even funnier is only a few weeks ago, it must seem, well, it sounds like a few weeks ago, it's probably a couple of months ago now that we played them. And the combined 11s were hilarious. Vicario put him in. Yeah, I want Porro in ahead of White. I want the Doggy in. I want Romero in. I want Van der Ven in. Bissouma's better than Rice. I want Charleston. He's better than Jesus. I want that. And they just keep going on and going and going. Now, these players aren't good enough. Well, 6 weeks ago, they were getting in everyone's combined 11s. Deji even told me he thought the only team that's got a better squad than Tottenham is Manchester City. That is the only team that's got a better squad than Tottenham. Now, I'm seeing their bench Bergval, Archie Gray, Jed Spence, the fridge in goal, what's his name? Fraser Forster, all these crap players. They're just dusted, man. They're a poor team, poor outfit. Daniel Levy has taken them as far as he can to Champions League finals, stadiums, beautiful stadium, unbelievable facilities. But he ain't got the ambition to go and win trophies, man. He's got no ambition whatsoever. So for me, I don't think Tottenham will ever be back until they get new owners and Levy out. And hopefully they'll stay forever, man, because it's beautiful to see.
That is a key component here. Right? There's problems with the players. There are issues with Ange. There's no doubt. I think he's so reluctant to adapt. You go 2-0 up against Chelsea. You then go and concede. Make yourselves hard to beat. Pack the midfield. Second half, there was zero midfield for Spurs whatsoever. It's ridiculous. And they ended up, listen, the score in the end, they got that late consolation goal to make it 4-3. They were battered in that game after going 2-0. From 2-0 up to the final whistle, they were comprehensively outplayed. Ange is responsible for some of that. But my focus here is on the Tottenham fans that think something's going to change just by sacking Big Ange. Look how many managers you have gone through in the past 20, 30, 40 plus years. What changes? Fundamentally, nothing whatsoever changes at that football club. And I think from my point of view and perspective, that's what I find most troubling, really, as just as a football fan looking at the situation. I think they've got to also realize who and what they are. I don't mean that as a dig. They earn a lot of money, absolutely, but loads of clubs do. But there is a finite amount of top-class players that can make you as good as Real Madrid, to make you as good as City have been recently. I've had this conversation before. We could all, if all of our clubs were run the way that the Sheikh has run City, someone's still getting relegated. Someone's still coming 10th. Somebody's low. There's at least 16 teams are still going to go throughout the course of the season without winning a trophy. No matter how much money you spend, no matter how much money you generate, there's still only a certain amount of players that are good enough to make you the very best in the world. And I almost feel like what Spurs end up doing is overpaying for average players when actually, and that makes the sort of the failure worse. Bloody hell. I remember looking at this stat during the Fergie era. They only spent £40 million less in the Premier League era up until when Fergie retired. Only £40 million less than the great Sir Alex Ferguson. Why are you overpaying so much? Like, work within your means. Behave more like Brentford and you'll be happy. Just play some pretty football, keep the expectations low, or do it the right way. Go out there and buy some really talented young players and develop them. Bring in the right kind of coach that knows that he can't play like he's got the best squad in the world. That you've got to get the combination right. And I feel like at Tottenham, there's bits that are good. Okay, yeah, really nice, expansive manager. Okay, a couple of decent signings. But they don't have the facilities for the entire project. It's a case of, I just feel like they try to act like a giant club because the money's there, but they're not able to pull it off. So there's always something missing, and that is what leads to these results. And I think the club has got a bit of an identity crisis kind of in that way, and they need to look at that. Look, sack Big Ange by all means. It's not fixing Tottenham. It's just Listen, a lot of Spurs fans go, well, what about your club? I've called my club out for the same things, my friend, but we're speaking about yours. They're a shambles. They're not going, in my opinion, until they change at board level, they're not going to get better long-term with Ange. They're not going to get better long-term without him. So until they fix that error, and I've heard there's going to be a protest soon as well. Spurs fans are organising some kind of protest. Listen, but if you guys keep giving that money, if you keep paying for the most expensive tickets in football, if you keep going to the world's longest bar, buying that cheese on a match day, charging your phone in the little slots, using the go-kart arena, getting excited when Celine Dion's doing a concert, nothing's changing. They've got to push back against those problems as well, boys, in my opinion.
Do you know what's hilarious as well, right? Let's just compare the last decade. Let's just talk about the last decade. Forget the managers, forget the board, the ownership. The last 10 years, they have sold Harry Kane and Gareth Bale. Literally 10 years apart, right? And in the recruitment period, they sold Bale, and the players they signed were Lamela, Soldado, Polinia, Capoue, Chiriques, Chadley, and Christian Eriksen. Now, Christian Eriksen did all right, to be fair, for Spurs. But other than that, the rest were all flops, right? Then you fast forward 10 years, and they've not replaced Harry Kane, but they've tried to with Brendan Johnson, James Maddison, Van der Ven, who, to be fair, was good signing, to be honest. Porro, Kulusevski, but that was more of a Conte signing, but obviously they used the money from the loan deal with him. Dragusin, Vicario, Manor Solomon, and Timo Werner. So you look at the players they've actually bought in there, and there's probably 20 players or so I've mentioned there. None of them have banged, have they? Other than Christian Eriksen, and you could say Maddison and Van der Ven haven't been bad signings for Spurs. So you look at the bad recruitment that's still going on with the same ownership and the same people that were doing it when they wasted the Bale money, which, let's be real, made history for the wrong reasons because everyone takes a piss out of that.
They definitely wasted it, but they got the strategy wrong there, going back to the Bale, right? But what they did there is, instead of what they should have done, in my opinion, right, because they got 100 mil for that, innit? 100 mil. What they should have done for that, in my view, is take the 100 million, buy two £50 million players. But what they tried to do, they tried to spread the money around, or buy like a 65 or a 70 million pound player, then go and get someone like 30 million. What they tried to do is they tried, and this doesn't work, right? They tried to spread the money out, buy 4 or 5 players, but there's a reason that they were able to spend that money on 4 or 5 players is because the quality wasn't there. Do you know what I mean? Like, football's very, very easy, yeah? It is. You get the best players, you win stuff. Now, for some reason, some fans think that that's some sort of bad thing, but that's how it is. You buy the best players, you win. And some clubs don't want to buy the best players, and even when they have the facilities, and then they pretend like they can't. Listen, Tottenham have got one of the best stadiums in the country. They're in London, they've got the money, as proved by the article that I told you about, 8th richest club in the world. Yet they choose not to. And maybe they can't get like the Haalands of this world and the Mbappes, but they can get some of the other ones. They actually get Richarlison and Brennan Johnson. Come on, man. Like, I think, these fans, at Spurs, they need to go on that protest, man, because they got to get this guy out. I don't know who the full details, I don't know who the guys are, that they'll obviously know more than me, but they've got to get these people out that are running the club because it's not going to change. And the facts is, they're the only club in the last 20 years not to have won anything in the Big Six. But that comes from the top. That comes from the top.
No, I totally agree. And Twisted Bubba here says, Terry, what's the solution? Look, as I've said, from my perspective, they need to strip everything back. They need to start at the end, which is set the goal for what they want to be. Every organization, sports team, business, whatever it may be, you've set a goal. You know, a family do this. The goal is we want to go to Orlando, Florida on holiday. That's the goal. And then you work backwards in terms of, well, how do we get there? Well, it's going to cost X, it's going to cost Y, and we need this amount of time. So then how do we raise the money? How do we get the time off? So you have to work backwards. And that is what Spurs have got to do. What do they want to be? What components are needed? And then how do we get all those how do we get all of those components built over time? And you work backwards from that point. That is what they need to do. But it's about buying the right type of player. It's about understanding that to become a juggernaut, it takes a long, long time. And you can't cheat the process. You can't skip a step. City are where they are. Yes, because Pep's here. But it's what they built before that. It's taken over a decade of continual growth to get to that stage and having these massively high ambitions. And Spurs fans get kind of lied to when they go through these little periods where that, well, we don't sell our best players anymore. We've kind of reached the new level. We don't sell this. We don't do this anymore. We don't do that anymore. And there's an element of truth to it. There's an element of truth. They don't
who are
sell
the best players though, Terry?
Well, I mean, what I mean by that is they went through a period, didn't they, with Luka Modric, Berbatov, Carrick, where they'd have 2 or 3 good years at Tottenham and they were gone. And I think with like Harry Kane as an example, they held on to him for a much longer period of time. They held on. Do you remember when Toby and Vertonghen, they were a really good partnership. They held on to that as an example. Kyle Walker got away, but maybe not as quickly as he would have done in previous years. And Spurs fans will remember some more names than me. But I think they've managed to hold on to their better players longer. But to what end? To what end does that help you achieve? And it's, you know, and if you're not prepared to go the full hog, I think fans would honestly rather just say, well, we want to grow the revenues as much as we can. We're going to try and qualify for Europe and win cup competitions. So trying to paint this picture that we're going to become the biggest and most successful team in the world. Don't lie. Like, be honest. Like, I'm not going to tell my kids we're going Orlando, Florida, if what's really happening, we're going Butlins. Now, nothing wrong with a Butlins holiday. It's fine. But manage the expectations, I think,
the thing is as well,
is a key part.
Is like this. I've seen it in the chat already. People saying not everybody can spend money. All right, well, let's fact check this information then. Right, this summer, 148 million euros spent by Tottenham. Last summer, 272 million euros spent by Tottenham. The summer before, 179 million euros spent by Tottenham. The year before that, 95 million euros spent before Tottenham. There's a myth going round that Tottenham don't spend money. They spend money, they spend it badly. That's the problem. So you can sit there and con yourself into believing that, oh, well, Tottenham can't do anything because we don't spend the money that City do and everybody else. You do. You spend it really, really badly, mate. That's the truth.
100% fact. Spurs are one of the biggest spenders in Premier League football history. It's a fact. By the way, there's no member of the traditional top 6 teams, the big 6 teams, who don't spend exorbitant amounts of money. Yes, right now, Chelsea are higher than everybody else because they spend in the last 2 years. But with the progression this season, you might find in the next 2 to 3 years, they spend a lot less than everybody else, and it equals itself out. City look like they're about to go on a massive spending spree to recoup. They'll catch a lot of that up. Man United are going to have to spend a good 750 to 800 million pound in the next 3 summer transfer windows if we got to think about competing, because you've wasted money prior. We all spend. There is no... One thing I'd say about Chelsea this season, it's not an underdog story. If Liverpool win the league, it's not a fucking underdog story. These are all hugely wealthy clubs who, over the course of the last 5, 6, 7 year period, wherever you mark it from, on salaries, agent fees, and transfer fees, are spending billions. None of us are paupers. None of us are on shoestring budgets. We've got to drop that bullshit. That for me is one of the biggest myths in the game. Oh, City have all the money. The rest of us can't compete. If you were as good at spending it as City, maybe you'd have won as much as them and generated even more money. And you've got to look at this summer, whether people like it or not. Chelsea, because they won that Champions League, and City, because of all their success in the Champions League, are earning an extra £60 million of income this summer. That's just through the tournament paying them that, let alone the sponsors and the extra revenue they're going to get through being at that. And if they keep being successful, they'll always be at that World Club Championship. How often is that happening? Is it once every 2 years, 3 years?
What, 4 years? 4 years.
4 years. So let's just say City keep maintaining this. It means every 4 years they'll generate an extra £120 million plus in revenue for their football club. That, when you amortize it in terms of buying a transfer, that could be 200, 300 million pounds worth of player that you can buy in the short term. And fans have got to realize success brings even more money. So yeah, they've got to drop that nonsense. But there we go. This is like watching an Arsenal. Was that earlier when we couldn't get the sound working? Fair enough. By the way, get your super chats in, get your comments in, get the like button smashed as well. And we also have something new on the terrace that I didn't want to mention at the beginning of the show, but now seems like the best time to really bring that up. And we are launching a new members platform, something that we've been working on at the terrace for a while now. I feel like YouTube's very limited for its members. Yes, we're going to keep the memberships on YouTube, but we're going to scale it down to the most basic package of like 99 pence per month. So you guys can keep your badges. You'll actually notice there's new badges now. We've updated the badges today. There's also some new emojis. Some of you probably haven't looked. We've got all the members of the Straight Facts panel. I'm just going to post them now so you guys can all see in the comment section. There's a picture for all of them, including the two boys on here. So if Dan's speaking facts, spam his emoji as an example. Same for LB. But we're going to be keeping that element on YouTube. The rest of it, though, we're going to be moving off platform to a platform called School. The reason for that is because we want to do a lot more for you, whether it be chat rooms, polls, games. We're now going to be doing exclusive kind of watch-alongs for our members during matches. There's going to be meetups. There's loads more coming as well. We're not going to reveal every single little bit as it stands right now, but there is a QR code on the screen that you can see and the link pinned into our live comment section. Go and check it out at the end of the stream. I'm really excited about it. It's no other football platform has done this. They probably will start once they see the levels of engagement we're going to get. But we want you guys to get yourselves across that. If you are a member already, I want to thank you. But get yourselves across to that. Take a look at it. It's going to be some real fun and exciting times ahead. I'm very sure of that. So go and check that out right now, people. Speaking of excitement. Speaking of fun, Man United sacked Dan Ashworth this week. United have also lost back-to-back games. LB, I'd love to get your take on this. A lot of people have said it's a shambles that Ashworth has been sacked. What do you make of it?
The situation is a shambles. We don't know whether the decision to sack the guy is a shambles because we don't truly know what's going on. Now, the club are going to put out PR. Right? Because they're going to have to get the fans on side by sacking him. So they're going to put out statements like, he wanted Southgate. They're going to put out stuff like, he signed this guy who's a failure. He kept this guy who he wanted to sell, but he's now really rubbish. They're going to basically smear the guy's name because that's how big business works. You know what I mean? They've got to keep the customers / fans, on side. And they're going to do that by just saying this guy's trash. And he's probably going to have to take it. He's probably been paid off or whatever. The question is, we don't truly know what's gone on the inside. Ultimately, I don't think United fans have got any other option than to back INEOS' decision to sack him. Because, what else are you going to do? Start an INEOS out? I mean, you just had Glazers out for 20 years. Well, you're going to start INEOS out now as well. Like, I think you've got to trust them at this moment in time. That you got to put your trust in him, otherwise, like, what are you going to do? Like, so for me, I don't really know on like whether he should have been sacked or not because I'm not reading into any of the PR that's going out there because it is PR. But yeah, as to whether or not it was the right decision, we'll never probably know. The options that United fans have got now is to just forget about it and trust INEOS and believe that it was the right decision, or say no, it wasn't and get INEOS out. You know what I mean? In which case, you're going to enter a new battle, a new war. More energy speaking about the owners. If it was me personally, if I was a United fan, I'd just allow it. I'd just say, right, it is what it is. Back INEOS on this. Have INEOS got off to the greatest of starts? No. But it's still early days. Let's see what they do in the next 12 months, 18 months. And then if they keep making errors or the team's not getting any better, then maybe you are going to have to start looking at INEOS. But if it was me, it is kind of blind faith. In the chat, Braff says blind faith. It is kind of blind faith at this moment in time. But you're going to get INEOS out already after, a year or whatever. Like, maybe you want to do that, fair enough. I'm not telling people not to be INEOS out, but, I mean, it'd probably be funnier for me if you were INEOS out. But I just think that you should just trust the board at this moment in time. But having said that, they're already on thin ice for me, because I think the way that they've handled the whole situation since they've come in, keeping Ten Hag, the signings, and then sacking the guy 5 months after you paid whatever you paid for him is poor. So they're on fraud watch, as some people would call it. But, yeah, for me, I just sort of like, lower the weapons, man. Lower the weapons. You've been in a fight for 20 years. I just chill out at this moment in time.
Yeah, I quite agree. I don't think anybody really have an understanding of what the hell's gone on there, 100% of it. But look, when that Southgate stuff come out, I think LB's right, really. I think they had to try and put something out there to make it look like, see, we had to get rid of this guy. He wanted to hire this clown. Whether we believe that's right or not, I have no idea. What I will say is I don't think it looks good. That people were bigging up Dan Ashworth. Oh, my God, he's here to save Manchester United. He's part of the structured team that is going to take Manchester United to the top. And then if only a matter of months, if not weeks, this guy's gone. Bizarre. Don't really understand what's gone on there. And I will say that I think that this INEOS start, there has been some good things and there's also been some bad things, man. There really has already that we look at. The first one was keeping Ten Hag and wasting the first 10 to 12 weeks of the season, which everybody knew was going to happen. That was not a good decision. So, look, I don't know what happens now and if you bring in somebody else or what goes on with that, if you've moved somebody into the role. I don't really know what is going on at Manchester United, if I'm honest. But I will say that on the pitch, things need to change. And as much as I think Aaron great, I think the squad is very poor. And that's where I'll be looking at with my question marks more than what's going on behind the scenes. Because that squad, it ain't looking good, Tel. I can't lie. It ain't looking good.
That element I agree with, that they're really struggling under Amorim, which I feel for the medium to long term is a good thing, as long as the club are pulling in the right direction. When it comes to Dan Ashworth, some are saying it's PR that he's gone for partly for decisions like keeping Ten Hag, for some of the recruitment decisions, and between then and even his suggestions and the replacements he wanted for Ten Hag not kind of meeting the requirements of the ownership. I can understand why people would see that as PR, but clearly he hasn't done a good enough job to impress the owners and they've moved him on. He was credited for the way he got Xerxes cheaper for us and that deal. He was credited by the people that like Ten Hag for, okay, well done, you're giving him time. We're going to put a structure behind that manager. But it didn't work out. I agree that we've made a mistake in hiring him. I was really excited and confident that he could do a good job. But again, I'm not doing the interview. I'm not doing the due diligence. The where I would criticize INEOS is, how are you not having a conversation with him about who we would bring in as a potential replacement for Ten Hag if he was to go? How are you not asking that question? That's where I'm focused. The positive to this is that he hasn't done a good job, according to them. And in fairness, we haven't progressed this season. We should have got rid of the manager. Amorim should have been given a pre-season. And some of our summer signings haven't looked good enough. The fact that we've got rid of him this quickly is no different to what multiple other members of the top six have done for internal members of staff that have done bad jobs. I've seen all of your clubs, whether it be new head scouts or new chief of recruitments, technical directors. If everybody just goes and researches Liverpool in that area, Arsenal. I remember when Arsenal got a guy in. I swear he was from Dortmund, and everyone was oh, look who we've gone and got. A few months later, he was gone. But then you look at the players.
Yeah,
but then you look back. You then look at the signings that he made or that he recommended. They didn't work out. So you now look back with hindsight and say, I understand. I understand why, as an example. The idea that INEOS are on fraud watch, I get it. I understand it. And I'm watching them closely as well. I have faith in them, but I'm still watching them closely. So I will criticize what they're getting wrong. For instance, I've called out massively what they've done in regards to ticket prices. That, for me, is too steep an increase and is wrong. And I condemn it wholeheartedly. But some of the other things I'm seeing Man United fans get angry about, and even more frustratingly, rival fans taking the moral high ground on, my head's hot, bro. My blood is boiling. Oh, we got rid of loads of staff. Yes, read the reports, read the articles. Staff members who were doing nothing to increase the revenue of the football club or save it money. Man United are not a charity. No business is a charity, no matter how big or how small. You do not and should not employ people that are not enhancing your organization in one way, shape, or form, no matter how big or small you are. We've been begging as Man United fans to have ruthless owners who cut the legs off of people making mistakes. We do it, suddenly it's a problem. How come we got rid of somebody after 5 months after chasing them? Well, we made a mistake. But most clubs in the early stages make mistakes. And I saw this is one of the funniest quotes I've seen on this, right? Where is it? Let me find this here. I think this is the one. From the Telegraph, it says one Man United staff member said, if they are prepared to do that to a sporting director hire at great cost after 5 months, what about the rest of us?
That's good.
Well, do your fucking jobs right then. Everyone at the club. Right. And I'm hearing Man United fans go, well, what about the players? We can't just get rid of all the players and have no squad, you fucking morons. That's going to come in time. We've been asking for a ruthless owner who cuts people out for their mistakes. We start cutting people out for their mistakes or doing bad jobs or not being good enough, and we start to cry about it. And then rivals and the media. Do you know what? Some of you can go suck on your mum's big toe, and I mean that wholeheartedly, right? Let's look at our owners. I'm not saying everything they've done sits comfortably with everybody on a moral level. But let's be honest. And let's look across the breadth and width of Premier League owners, right? We've got some who fund governments who push genocide. We've got others who face serious accusations, including murder. Murder! And fans of those clubs have the audacity to say, aren't INEOS a disgrace? They cancelled a Christmas party. That's where we're drawing the line, at Christmas parties being cancelled.
Yeah, but why are they cancelling the Christmas party, man?
We don't deserve it. No one at Man United deserves a Christmas party. We're a shambles.
Oh, yeah, but Peggy does in reception. Why are you cancelling her Christmas party, mate? Yeah, Bruno Fernandes and that might not do, but what about the other stuff?
I understand that it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I am not going to sit there and look at this virtue signalling, moral posturing bullshit, because when you look at the owners of all of our clubs, we could do 10 minutes research on every owner, whether it's tax avoidance or funding a government or a particular politician nobody likes, or investing in something to do with arms, or, oh my God, they made the price of maize crash in this country, whether it be their connection to the government or royal families of particular countries and the laws and rules they have on a moral level. By the way, I don't condemn the owner of any club. I don't care where they're from. I don't care about I don't call any of that out, never have done. I don't care about Arsenal's owners, where they're from, who they support, who they vote for. I don't care about Brighton's owner and whether he's a conservative, whether he's Labour, whether he funds this, that, or the other. I don't care about the Middle East owners. I would happily have one at Man United. I've visited those parts of the world. I don't throw the stones. But don't sit there as a fan of any of those clubs and start pointing the fingers at INEOS and saying, they've made a disgrace, they've made a few redundancies, and they sacked a millionaire sporting director after 5 months. This is not how a club like Man United should be run. Where the fucking hell were you for nearly 20 years when the Glazers were pillaging the football club, lumbering it with debt, allowing one of the greatest sporting institutes of this country to rot? Where was your fucking moral high ground then? Where was your opinions? Where was the articles then? Where were you calling them out then? Suddenly we get someone who comes in, and I'm not saying they're perfect. I have condemned them, as I've just done in my little ranty speech. But where were the articles before that? These guys are trying to fix Man United, whether people like it or not. And this is what my message is to Man United fans. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to hire people that don't work out. They're going to sign some dud players. There's going to be, especially in the beginning, in the building of the structure, there's going to be mistakes. We've all hired someone and a week, a month, a year later gone, you know, they weren't what I thought they'd be, and got rid of them. But please don't be suckered in by the moral posturing and the kind of pseudo-moralistic bullshit that's coming out of rival fans and the media. They didn't do it to the Glazers when they knew they were ruining us. Why do you think they're doing it now? It isn't to protect Man United. It's because there's a fear they might, just might, get us back to near the top. So don't be so pathetic and weak. Call out the things that are wrong. I saw another lie this week. Oh, they're trying to get the taxpayers to fund their new stadium. That is a complete and utter piece of bullshit. And it's already been debunked. I'm just sick to my back teeth. We are making mistakes. The team ain't in a good position, and we should be calling that out. But rivals trying to stand on this fucking ivory tower and point down and go, look at them bad owners there. Look at them bad owners. Whilst ignoring what they have, shut the fuck up.
Mate, there's a couple of good super chats as well that will be nice to segue into, just unless you see them. Because I tell you, man, that is a rant and a half. There's a couple of people that are actually like, try and put a positive spin on this. I can't remember what one it is now.
INEOS are inept at managing sports teams. They have turned great teams in Formula One, cycling, etc., into mediocre teams. And look, I've seen this be reported as well, and that's fair enough. That's a criticism that you can label. And I'm not going to argue with it.
Have you done your research into this, by the way? Because I get this a lot. People did he own Lille or someone like that?
He owns. They own Nice. I mean, this is the thing,
Nice.
right? I have done research into it, and again, when it comes to Formula One, I spoke to David, who comes on our shows. Who, listen, he used to work for a Formula One team, right? So I've asked him about it, and he kind of said it's not as simple as people are making out. It isn't just because INEOS were involved. It's certain sports they've been involved in. They've been good teams. They've taken over. They continue to be good, but then there's been rule changes and all types of other things that have gone on. But the thing is this, if somebody just says, I don't like INEOS because of their previous track record, I can accept that as an opinion. It's when people start lying. They're not trying to get taxpayers to pay for a new stadium. The idea that sacking people that are not doing their job properly or a good enough job or are not needed is somehow this terrible action and that it makes them disgraceful and bullies. I'm going to push back against it because that's a lie. And rival fan... sorry, mate, go on.
So this guy, Jared, he's basically saying INEOS are trash, right? Have INEOS, genuine question, because I don't know, I'm a City fan, right? Have INEOS had any success in sport? Genuine question.
Cycling, sailing, F1, they've had success in those sports. I mean, I've read, again, depends on what you read.
Well, this guy's telling us he's not. He's saying they've turned F1 cycling to mid-teams. That's the... So, have they had any success?
I read something the other day. I've got to go back and look at it. Do I know it off by heart? No, I don't. Let me just go and find this now. But as you say, everybody will have a different view of these things. Hang on a second. Here we go.
INEOS are in Mercedes in F1, aren't they?
Yeah, so this is INEOS have achieved. This is what I read here. It says INEOS have achieved significant success across various sports strategy investments and partnerships. In cycling, formerly Team Sky, this team has secured multiple Grand Tour victories. I don't know what that is, but I'm just reading what it says, including Tour de France and the Italian version under INEOS's ownership. They continue their dominance with such wins. Between 2019 until now. In sailing, in October 2024, INEOS Britannia won the Louis Vuitton Cup. Now, I don't know how big that trophy is, right? I don't know about sailing, right? But it says, okay, marking the first time in 60 years that a British team have secured a place in the America's Cup match. So again, look, I'm not an expert on sailing, but for the first time in 60 years, INEOS have invested in sailing, and it's the first time in 60 years a British boat has got into a certain race. That doesn't sound bad. In athletics, they've had some success there. Formula One, it says INEOS became a principal partner and equal shareholder in Mercedes Formula One team in 2020. With Nice, we understand with Nice, they've not got them to a level yet that we would look at and go, that's amazing. They've been sort of partners with New Zealand rugby team since 2001. I don't know how good New Zealand has been at rugby since then, as an example. So look, as I say, when I look at this and I've done some reading on it, there's some good things, there's some bad things. I'm not going to sit there and deny that. I've never sat there and gone, they are amazing. There's nothing wrong they've done, and they shouldn't be criticized. And this here from Rumi says you can't say INEOS made a mistake by keeping Ten Hag and then criticize them for firing the man who pushed to keep him. Well, no, again, Dan Ashworth pushed to keep him, and they gave him the power in his role to make that decision, and they went with it. I thought it was wrong. It's turned out to be the wrong decision. Therefore, it's part of the reason why Dan Ashworth lost his job, because he made a catastrophic mistake that's cost us multiple millions of pounds and written off, as LB said, when we were sacking Ten Hag. You basically written off a whole season of development. So the man's lost his job over it. I'm not criticizing the opposite thing. I am stating that if the reports are true, that Ashworth is the one who pushed to keep him, and look what's happened since, then you deserve to be fired. That's not wrong in my personal opinion. Chelsea sacked Vavell after about 5 months. Yeah, and how many sporting directors did Liverpool go through between Edwards and Edwards returning? I swear it was a couple. But yet everyone looks at that as it's okay. I don't know about Man City, but I remember in your early years under the Sheikh, there was a lot of comings and goings and problems. I remember, who was it at your club who sent a disgraceful email out?
Gary Cook.
To Nedu Anua's mum when she had cancer. Like, we have all, and I'm not trying to have a pop at City. I'm pointing out that in the early stages of clubs restructuring, there have been problems, bad appointments, issues. The idea that Man United suddenly, oh my God, isn't it amazing? No one else has these problems. It's just bullshit. Reports said that INEOS not going to find a replacement for Ashworth and instead shift the responsibility to other staff. Now tell me which other successful team did this and spin it in a positive way. This is what I'm going to say, though. I'd have to do more research before answering that about other football clubs. However, what I would say is this. I'm not going to judge it and make an overarching opinion instantly. And I'm going to throw it back to you this way. And this isn't a positive. I just look at it as the way things are. If our recruitment doesn't start to improve, if on the pitch we don't start to improve over the next 18 months, 2 years, not having a sporting director could bite us in the backside. Another component, if you read why he's gone, and I don't think it's necessarily PR, is Ashworth felt kind of sidelined. And this has happened to many a business, including my own. I hired someone once called Taylor, really good lad, to do some graphic design for us in bits and pieces. But he spent most of the day twiddling his thumb, and I'm paying him a full-time wage. And I got to a point where I said, look, I'll keep paying you, but go find another job. I just don't need you. I didn't make him redundant, but he went and found another job, and then we moved, and then we changed the roles. It could just be that we hired Dan Ashworth, but with the responsibilities that Blanc has, Brailsford has, Barada has, the things that Wilcock's doing, maybe in the end there just isn't enough for Ashworth to do, and the club has gone, I know that's a mistake, by the way. They've made that mistake, but it's the reality of the situation. So we've got technical directors, we've got Barada and co heading up the sporting operation. You've got to remember the INEOS group at Man United. So this is why you've got to also, if we're going to do your example, you have to look at the structure of the club. The INEOS group are running the football element of the club, not the entirety, which means the CEO Barada has a lot more time and focus on the football operation. Now, if we suddenly get INEOS by 100% of the club, you may then find they need a sporting director because there's more work for him to do, because the CEO is then going to be across the financial and the commercial elements of and the citizenship element of the football club as well, which is still currently headed up by the Glazers. So if you want to do your example, you have to show me a club where the 25% owners are running the football operation versus the 75% owners. Yeah. And then we can do that comparison, my friends. We have to do like for like. But I'm not worried about it.
Can I just come on that point as well? Like, he's asking, how can you spin it into a positive, right? But you can't really judge this decision for another year or 18 months. In 18 months, if all the signings are poor, right, and United haven't progressed, because clearly you're criticising this decision, you can sit there and say, what a terrible decision that was not to get a new sporting director. I told you all 18 months, told you so, and we'll all have to go, fairs. But it might work, and in which case, they've saved a load of money by not hiring a new guy. They're one man lighter, so they maybe can be more efficient, less people to email, CC into emails, all that kind of stuff. So should they have a sporting director? Well, some people don't think sporting directors are needed. Some people do. Well, time will tell whether this is the correct decision. What I would say, if you're right and it doesn't work, and they don't get a sporting director, and in a year's time, in 18 months' time, we're sitting there going, wow, this is bad, all the signings are trash, then again, it comes back to INEOS and people, and that's when you got to get into, and that's why I think INEOS are on a thin ice. And
that's my biggest pushback against all of this is we need to give it more time. We are turning around a broken oil tanker with holes all over it that's at the precipice of sinking, but we can't bring it into dock for 2 years and fix it and then put it back out to sea. We've got to fix it whilst it's working. Out in the deep sea, it's hard work. Also, though, that story that we're not going to replace him, it may have been confirmed by elsewhere, that was pushed by the Sun newspaper. So it may or may not be true. So that's also the other thing here. I'm not going to sort of hang a view around what the Sun newspaper says. And it's like little things like this. During Chelsea's last couple of years, I've criticised some of their performances. I've criticised things that have gone wrong for them. But I've always felt what they were trying to do, I understood it. They were trying to build a young squad that had real potential to create superstars, which is starting to do. I never bought into this bullshit that they've spent too much money, because I felt a good 30, 40, 50% of that money was spent on players that they would sell in 2 or 3 years' time to bring more money in. I never bought into the thing of they've got too many players, where they're all going to train and get changed. I've criticised the fact they were getting their managerial appointments wrong. But what I praise within that is that they were keeping the direction of the club sturdy. They were saying, right, we haven't hired the right people yet. Got the wrong recruiter here and the wrong person making the sporting director decisions in Bowley. Hired the wrong manager, but we're not going to deviate from the plan. We're just going to bring in different people to manage it. And look where they are now. They're second in the league, 4 points off top, which nobody expected. Some Chelsea fans kept the faith the whole way. You had others that completely wrote it off as a disaster. And then you've got people in the middle, I think like the majority of us three. These things look really good. These things look really bad. I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I can see the vision. I'm not sure if it's going to come off, though. And that's a fine conversation to have. What I won't do to Man United is have a different energy to what I had to Chelsea. I will criticize the mistakes they make. If Amorim turns out to be a flop, I'll criticize his appointment. However, this time, not even this time last year, in the summer, the likes of the same journalists criticizing Man United, the same pundits saying they're never going to turn it round, said that players have got to stop signing for Chelsea because they're going nowhere. Now they're second in the league. I am just not prepared this early into what is arguably the biggest rebuild in the modern day era of a fallen giant in English football. I'm not prepared 5 months into the actual key decision starting to go, it's a complete disaster. They're the same as the Glazers. It's never going to get better. People think that the Qataris would have fixed it like they wouldn't. It would have taken the same amount of time. They would have made mistakes. How do I know this? Newcastle not without their mistakes. City made mistakes in the early days. And City's first 3 years, it was unlimited fucking spending. And they still made mistakes. Look at some of the players you bought in your first few years. Like, that isn't even a dig.
Go on, name some of them.
Rabinho.
Rabinho was class for 6 months, man.
Yeah, but there we go. And that's my point, right? That's not a dig. It's the nature of the situation. Man United fans, I've said it before, it's just like The Walking Dead. Some Man United fans are those people that are dying in season 1 early. They ain't surviving. They're not going to get used to the new world. They're just not going to be able to go through it. They are going to bend over for the rivals, bend over for the media, and start attacking it without giving it a little bit of time. Now, I can't guarantee it's going to be a success, but I'm at least prepared to wait before I make an overarching judgment.
Yeah, exactly. So can you bring up Jimmy's comment there in the chat about the structure? He's literally just put it in a moment ago. It might take a second up because this is an interesting comment from Jimmy. Big up to, I don't know. Can you see it? Yeah. So he says there's absolutely zero evidence that anything INEOS will do will prove any form of competency. Structure is utterly hilarious. Jimmy, remember I'm a City fan. I completely agree with everything that you've just said there. Right. The question for Manchester United fans, and I don't know if you're a United fan or not, right, is what do you want to do here? Do you want to back INEOS, accept that they might make a few mistakes and give them a chance and maybe give them a few chances before you say these guys don't know what they're doing? Or are you just on them from now saying, like, you've already made a couple of mistakes in a year, 18 months since you've been here, you're terrible, get out. Like, if that's what you want to do, if you want to get on them now and say, I'm not giving these guys any opportunities. I'm not giving them 2 years, 3 years to see if they can realise they made a few mistakes and rectify. If you want to be on them, they're fair dues. I ain't telling you what. But that's the question that Man United fans have to put themselves in. As a United fan, Terry's got to do it as well. You either do what you're saying and just get on INEOS straight away and start cooking them and saying they don't know what they're doing. Or you say, they might have made a few mistakes. I'm going to criticise them, but I'm going to give them 3 years. And if they don't improve,
even if they feel though,
then you get onto them.
Even if they feel like you've just said, like, I don't trust these, they can't do anything about it. They might as well just ride it out now because they're not going anywhere.
They can start the INEOS out stuff and all that sort of. But
they can do.
But do they really want to do that? Do they really want to do that? Having the whole laser thing.
What you just said though, LB, is so right. There are no guarantees. I think they'll get it right, but I said I think. I'm not guaranteeing it. Equally, I'm very aware it could go wrong. But you said something that's really, really important, where you turned around and went that they've made some early mistakes. And it means they don't know what they're doing. But that tells me people are not researching what real club rebuilds look like and what happens, because it's fairly typical to make mistakes early on. Because you are also bringing into the football club for the first time a sporting director. And although you're getting advice from people and yes, you're interviewing people, there's this element of, this is why I think it's different to the Glazers. They put Woodward in charge, who made continual mistakes for 8 years, but they gave him 8 years of making mistakes. We've had somebody who's come in, made early mistakes, and we've gone, not at the standard, see you later. That's why I don't agree with it can't work. It's the same as the Glazers. For me, it's the complete opposite to the way the Glazers operated. There's also, again, there's liars in here too. Paul English is Terry acting like INEOS or Snow White. I'm going to stop the comment there. I definitely criticize things they've done already just on the show. So you're lying, Paul English. Jamie here says, Terry, we're 13th. We were never this bad until those forwards came in. Again, but what you're looking at, my friend, is the fact that, let me give you an example. If somebody over a 10-year period keeps putting on weight every single year, not going to the gym, eating the wrong foods, they're going to feel like crap at the end of it. You wait till they start eating a bit healthier and go back to the gym. There's going to be a period where they feel even worse. There's going to be a period where they feel even worse than they did when they were just sitting on the couch eating KFC and sweets, because their body's now going through stress and they're uncomfortable and they're clucking and craving all the junk they were eating, and the exercise is hurting them, and their extra weight is making their knees and elbows and shoulders hurt. But you've got to persevere through that pain to come out the other side. And this is what I mean by doing your research, Jamie. You didn't listen to the right people. You've been hoodwinked by idiots online. Most people that understand what this rebuilding was going to entail, openly stated, and so Jim said this, Amarim has said this, it could get worse before it gets better, because you've got to strip everything back. Learn to develop some patience. This was never going to be fixed by the appointment of a new manager.
Can I
never,
say this
ever,
as well
ever.
on top of this, right? Yeah, the reason why I think United are trash is because Ten Hag he's been your manager all season, right? You should have sacked Ten Hag in the summer, right?
Agreed.
How long's Dan Ashworth been here? Since when?
Officially the 1st of July, but he was doing work before off his,
Right,
you know
so
what I mean? Yeah,
he's a sporting
1st of
director.
July.
So is it whose choice is it to sack Ten Hag or not? Because I don't think it's INEOS's. They put the people in charge to make these decisions.
Well, you put the sporting director in charge. It was Dan Ashworth. That's what it's now been. I mean, that's what they've told us. Unless somebody's
so it's Dan
got
Ashworth's
evidence.
fault that
Yes.
United went into this new season with Ten Hag. So
that's why they got rid of him.
So
Then.
that's why they got rid of him. So what they've done
partly,
wrong then? INEOS's job is not to sack managers and hire managers. They've hired people, professional people, to make those decisions for them, i.e.
Correct.
the sporting director. Now, I think INEOS probably, because I remember that interview that they interviewed the Jim Ratcliffe guy in Monaco, and they asked him about Ten Hag, and the impression that I got is the guy thought he was probably a clown, wanted him sacked. But it's Dan Ashworth's job to make that decision. Now, Dan Ashworth decided to go into the season with Ten Hag. Ten Hag's terrible. United in the bottom half of the table. He gets sacked. INEOS now have a decision to make. Do they hire someone else? Do they keep with the staff? I don't really understand, what INEOS have done wrong in terms of the manager. For me, that is a Dan Ashworth thing, and that's why he's lost his job.
I agree. United's biggest issue is the squad is dead and many are overpaid and need selling. Well, which brings us on to the other talking point before we get onto like Pep and Arsenal, and we haven't even got to the Palmer stuff yet. But Rashford today looks like he's going to go. That's triggered a different group of Man United fans. Oh, we'd be silly to get rid of him. No, we need to get rid of deadwood players, overpaid players. For me, Rashford doesn't look like he wants to be at Man United in his heart of hearts. I'm saddened by that because I've always wanted it to work out. He's a player that I've rated, but I want Man United to be a bigger success. He's on 350 grand a week, and I would rather that salary was paid to a different football player of hopefully of higher ability, higher consistency and output for us. So for me, I'm all up for Rashford going. But the one question I want to ask you, Potsy, is the rumours are Dan Ashworth could be going to Arsenal. Could that also mean that he brings Rashford with him? Because Arteta's always loved Rashford. Ashworth loves Rashford. And you guys want a new sporting director. Would you welcome either of them at Arsenal?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. In short, I didn't know this, Terry, but apparently Dan Ashworth and Richard Garlick worked together at West Brom. I wasn't aware of that until the links today. But yeah, they were basically at West Brom together, and they were quite close in their working relationships. And now, of course, seeing as we're on the search for one and Edu has gone, he's now back on the list. Look, if he's done a bad job at Manchester United and gone, I don't want him at Arsenal. I certainly don't want Marcus Rashford, who I've never, ever rated and feel is one of the most overrated footballers that I've seen in a very long time. There's a mentality issue with him, and he's not a 23-year-old we can try and get the best out of. I'm sure he's touching 27, 28 now, right? So for me, I don't want him. I think we need an upgrade on Martinelli and Trossard, and that is not one of them. He goes in the same bracket as those two, in my opinion. So, yeah, I would not want Marcus Rashford or Dan Ashworth. I want someone in, though, to replace Edu that has actually got experience of being successful at a club. And that doesn't mean winning stuff at that club. It means that they've done the best they can at their job. It might be that they're a lower division club, but they've done actually well in terms of bringing their players in or the way that the club's run. So that's what I would like. And the players that I would like at the club are definitely not at the level of Marcus Rashford. 375k a week. Let's be real. We've already got Sterling that we look to be fed up of already. I don't really want to try and get to a stage of trying to bring the best out of Marcus Rashford. I'm done with this. There's a player in there somewhere. Let's see if Arteta can get the best out of him. We're not in that position, man. We need players that are ready to hit the ground running now and go bang, 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 take us to the next level. He is not one of them. And Dan Ashworth has proven that, if you want Ten Hag and you're flirting with Southgate, I'd like you to stay well clear of my club. That's what I would say. So, look, I don't think it's ended very well the way it did at Brighton for him, the way it did at Newcastle for him, and certainly the way it's done at Manchester United. I don't want him coming and ruffling feathers at Arsenal, if I'm honest, because we've got enough feathers that have been ruffled at our club for the last few years. So that's certainly not something that I think would settle us at all. Look, he'd probably do a better job than Edu, if I'm honest, because I don't think Edu was actually fantastic. Some people do. I don't think he was. But I certainly want someone better than him. So, yeah, I would politely decline both of them if they were offered to Arsenal.
He was also the driving force at Man United. And this was always very well documented, the driving force behind trying to get United to sign Gareth Southgate. It was something he really pushed for. He wanted us to sign him over Amorim. I mean, that's the one thing I'd say to Arsenal fans about the hire of him is if you move on from Arteta and Ashworth is in charge and has the final say on who you hire as manager, he shortlists there's some good ones on there. Thomas Frank I quite like, but Thomas Frank, Southgate, Potter, these are the kind of individuals that he so far has suggested to the last couple of clubs that he's been at, and that would be a worry to me personally.
100%. And let's be real, those managers, they should not be going to Manchester United or Arsenal. Let's just say it how it is. They can probably do a good job mid-table, which is why Potter did quite well with Brighton, which I'm sure is why Southgate would go and do well with some of the lower division clubs. But let's just be real, man. You don't want them sort of names linked with Arsenal, Man United. Which is why you're now happy with Amorim, and you wouldn't have been happy with Potter or Southgate, right? So, look, I don't think that's happening. He'll just be added to a long list of names. We're linked with Campos, we're linked with Alabe, we're linked with, obviously, he's been added to the list. We've been linked with about 5 or 6 individuals now. So, he's just going to be added to the list now that he's available. And it's just timing, I think, more than anything. Yes, there's a relationship with Richard Garlick, I'm sure, but I'll be very disappointed if we got him.
What's the job description at Arsenal for the sporting director? Clean Arteta's boots. That's what it's going to be, isn't it? You know that? Because he's got the power, man, at that football club now, bro. That sporting director is just... honestly, man, he's second in command.
Well, you're right. You're right, man. You're right. You're not even... you're laughing and you're tongue-in-cheek, but you're not wrong. Arteta's got a lot of power, man.
He's got. Yeah. I think he's got too much power. I think that.
Well, I think we got back to the Wenger day, man. I think he's just the mini Wenger now. Like when Wenger had the say and everything. I don't want a sporting director because what they're supposed to do, direct the traffic. For me, that's what Mikel Arteta might be saying is, look, I don't need one. Let me do it. Me and Richard Garlick will work together to bring the guys in. I'll have a say on who I want. We'll go from there. And I think the Cronkies might just go, all right, Mikel, sounds good. Right, I'm off to the Colorado Rapids now and the Denver Nuggets. See how they're getting on, and the Rams. Cheers. Let us know if you need anything, Mikel. Because that's what, honestly, I think they do, man. I don't think these Cronkies are all what they're sold out to be, man. A lot of people seem to think they've done a great job because they've got us challenging again. But let's just be real, man. We were doing a hell of a lot better without them.
Are they upgrading your stadium? Are they going to upgrade your stadium?
Yeah, I would say, yep.
So they're going to do that. They're going to go through that whole thing again where they say, "Oh, sorry, we can't spend any money now, guys, because we're updated." But when we've upgraded Emirates to a 70,000 seater stadium, then we can compete with Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Are they going to say that again? Imagine if they say that again.
Brother, you're hearing me, bro. You're hearing me. And look, they're saying it's. I spoke to, I think it was a gal and a couple other people that were like behind the Cronkies and Sophie. Big up to those guys saying, well, it's coming out of the Cronkies' pocket. Like, you can't say they're not winning anything and they're not got the ambition to win when they're paying for the new stadium upgrade, blah, blah, blah. But if I'm honest with you, I'd rather, like real talk, I would rather go and get another centre forward.
How much they're spending on that stadium, apparently, roughly?
Well, it's something like 300 million or something.
Yeah, well, I think City's is about 300 million.
So let's go and spend that 300 million. If they've got that in their pocket, let's go and put that on the squad, yeah? Because I'm sick and tired of Arsenal trying to put money in the wrong areas, man. It's absolutely crazy. And if I'm honest with you, if you are going to spend money in it, yeah, and make it the best that it can be, then make sure it is the best that it can be. Because at the moment, the Emirates is looking tired and old and ragged because it's nearly 20 years old. So when you go through the tunnel and there's a nice picture of Win the Dog and Josh Kroenke, that's lovely. But actually, what I would prefer is to have. We've seen the Ram Stadium. It's got a beach and a lake and everything around it. So let's actually do things properly or not at all. Yeah. And if I'm honest with you, I was quite happy where I was at Highbury, because when we were at Highbury, they said that we needed to compete with the best, so we're going to have to go to the Emirates. Well, we already were competing with the best because we got to a Champions League final against Barcelona. We'd done an invincible season. We'd won doubles. We'd won like cups. We were very, very successful. Pretty much between the years I started watching football in 1992 right the way through to 2006, we pretty much won something every other year. And since 2008, when these guys have walked in, we've won 5 FA Cups. 3 of them were under.
Now, you was a serious team back in the day, man. I remember watching Arsenal at Highbury, man, and the players that you had back in the day, the way you played football as well, like that was very refreshing at the time. And you had some unbelievable players. And yeah, it was a bit weird that the wording that we need to do this to compete when you was already competing. You was already competing. You just won the Prem. You got to a Champions League final, unlucky in that game. And it's like, yeah, very strange. Obviously, that was. But were they telling the truth about the true reasons, the true motive behind moving to the Emirates? I don't know. But like, if I was the owners of Arsenal Football Club now, would be extending the stadium be top of my list of priorities? No, it would be to get this team to compete for the Champions League, get this team to compete for the Premier League. That's what it would be. But obviously, I think all football clubs are going through this as well, though, bro. Because like my club's upgrading the stadium. United want to change their stadium. Everyone's doing it. Tottenham have just built a new one. It's all for money, man. The quicker you realise, that these owners are in it just to make money because they're a business, the easier it is to take. And it's sad. And that's the truth. That's the truth.
You know what?
The best
Turkish
you can
made
hope
a great point.
Well,
Turkish made a great point last night. Your support is their custom.
Yeah, facts.
And I thought that is absolutely spot on. Your support is their custom, man. And when you realise that, that's what you got to do. So if you're, it's very, very hard because people say, and I know they said this to you, Terry, as well, stop going to games, stop buying and all this kind of stuff. Sometimes that is quite hard for some people to do. And I understand that there is a
life, innit?
way that you do that. Because it's your livelihood, it's your
man.
hobby, it's your release, it's your therapy, it's your family time, it's your friend time. That some people can't just stop going. Some people can. Some people can do it. I know, you've managed to do, what you thought was best at the time and was like, you know what, I'm stopped going, I'm not doing this, I'm not buying this stuff. And I respect you and admire you for that. But I also think people need to understand that there are some people that just cannot do that. Like they physically
I agree. I agree it's hard. I look at it this way. If you're someone that the social element is the most important bit, I think the other thing you may have to get into your mindset is just stop caring about being the best team then and just enjoy the social element. Because my brother's a Leyton Orient fan and he doesn't go to football in the hope that Leyton Orient become the best team in the world. It's the social element. He has a good day out. Even if it isn't good football, they actually play quite nice football. Then they're struggling. But he's like, even if it isn't great football, the football day is meeting my mates, having some breakfast, having a drink, traveling to an away ground, the social element. And that is what he focused on. And maybe it's different when you're at League One level of the game. But I think that's what maybe some football fans have got to learn to do. That if the social element is the most important part to them and not them being the best team, then focus on that. But if being the best team is the most important bit, and you agree with what Turkish has said, that the owners don't care, we're just customers, then my response is the same as it's always been. Well, you can control what every business in the world does with your back pocket. We all moan about how expensive Sky Sports is. But if every single person said, I'm cancelling, they'd lower their prices. There's a way you can make everyone lower their prices or change the way, especially if they're being greedy, you can make them change. But the problem is that we don't do enough. And I do get where you're coming from. Speaking of other problems, though, you've got a lot of injuries as well, I've heard today. You've basically got no fit defenders for the Champions League.
No, it's horrendous, if I'm honest. And if the rumours are true, today's training session had no Ben White, no Tomiyasu, no Gabriel, no Calafiori, no Zinchenko, no Timber, and no Thomas Partey. So Lewis Skelly and Tierney are the only options at the back with Kivior and Saliba. That is literally our back four.
Tierney?
Unless we go... Yeah, Tierney's back, man. Tierney's back.
35, 36 now. He's
27, man. 27, man.
No, he's not 27. No, he's not 27. No way is he
27,
27.
28.
Chat,
Yeah,
someone
man,
back check this. No way is Kieran Tierney 27
we
years
signed
old.
him at 22, bro. 6 years ago, 22. We
I
signed
feel
him.
like this guy's been around football for about 20 years. Are you being
Yeah, I know.
serious?
It
Yeah,
feels that
that
way,
is
man.
mad.
Yeah, I think he's 27, 28. I'll check it, but I think he's 27, 28. Someone in the chat will know. But that is potentially our lineup at the moment. It's
Wow.
absolutely mad. 27 he is, yeah. It's mad, isn't it?
That's
So
insane, man.
look, we are in a position where he might need to play. And I think he's been treated quite badly, if I'm honest. I don't think he's been as miserable as what Mikel Arteta seems to think. But he's going to have to play him now. Miles Lewis-Skelly might have to play fullback. And Kivior and Saliba are literally all we've got. We are buying injury-prone defenders. This Calafiori is added to that list. He can hardly kick a ball. Tommy Asu's played 6 minutes. Zinchenko's played 1 game of football. Now he's out again. We've got Gabriel with a muscle injury. Obviously, we know about Ben White, who's going to have now surgery. It's crazy. I mean, Josh Nichols or Miles Lewis-Skelly might have to be the options. And Tierney, obviously. That is it. So we're in a bit of a situation that Man City were in a couple of weeks ago when Simpson Poozy was playing. We've now got ourselves in that position. And it's crazy, but Man City and Arsenal got the smallest squads, man.
Where are you in the league? In the Champions League? Where are you?
I think we are literally 7th or 8th at the moment. But I think we will, to be honest with you, we win our next 2 home games against Monaco and Zagreb. We should be okay.
Who are you playing tonight?
But Monaco tomorrow.
Oh.
At home, and then Zagreb at home, and then
so
Girona away.
you need to win 2. Yeah, you'll be chilling then. So you just need to win 2 games out of the last 3. You're chilling. You get that top 8 easy.
You'd like to think in the home games, win our 2 home games, we should be okay for the top 8, unless something drastically goes wrong. But you never know with this new format. I'm just guessing at the moment what points people need. But when I look at our squad right now, it ain't looking good, man. It really ain't defensively. And we're stacked. Do you know what's mad? We are stacked defensively. We have got so many defenders, and they are literally all either injured or injury prone. It is just a madness. I think that.
Yeah,
And
Calafiori's had quite a lot, like in his short space. Like they seem to be quite short ones, but it's a few weeks
Niggles,
here,
yeah.
few weeks there. Yeah, Niggles every. Yeah,
it ain't good, Terry, because this was with Tommy Asu, and apparently Calafiori had some problems when he was over in Italy at Roma and Bologna. I think he was an injury prone player back then as well. People were saying. I mean, if you go on transfer market, you might actually see. But what is that? I mean, this is to be fair. I'm not making excuses because we've been poor when everyone has been fit, but you can't really. This is bare bones now at the back. This is absolutely bare bones at the back. It really is. So we're trying to struggle now to put a back line together. And 2 of them might have to be the under 18 kids or under 20, whatever it's called now, under 20-year-old kids. So it ain't looking good, man. I mean, look, we've got some very winnable games coming up. So, it's not like we're going to go and play Villa away, City away, and Spurs away with these guys like we were at the start of the season when our fixtures were that. Now we've got no players available at the back. You'd like to think, because there's a lot of rumours suggesting it might just be for this game, and it might be that the weekend a couple of them are fit. So hopefully that is the case, and we'll be okay against Monaco. But yeah, let's hope Balogun don't score against us, tomorrow night, and come back and ruin the party for us. So yeah, I am worried at the moment if that news is correct. But again, they've been missing in training. What does that mean? Are they training separately? Are they trying to get themselves fit for something? Are they just going to sort of be assessed nearer the time? Like, do you know what I mean? It's unknown at the moment.
It might be an Arteta master plan. He's a bit weird like that, isn't it? He might have told them to train indoors, bro, to avoid the cameras. You know what he's like.
Oh, have you been reading Zinchenko's book? Is that what it is? Apparently, that's what he said he does. Dark arts.
Yeah, he's a strange one, that Mikel Arteta, mate. So who knows? You might have a fully fit back line by the game tomorrow. You never know, innit? Well, you'll be chilling anyway. You'll get that top 8. So. You'll get that top 8. 2 wins out of 3, you'll get that top 8 easy.
We should do. Which, to be fair, is actually quite good. Because, actually, it's looking a lot harder to get into that top 8 than I thought it would, to be fair.
I think we'll struggle getting that top 8, man. I think we're going to just qualify for the playoff thing, which is a bit annoying. But
which ain't good, because there's another 2 games, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, another 2 games in February, I think it is. So, yeah.
But you're away. You've got Juve away. That's I'm really intrigued with that one. Just because you guys, it was a mad one for you lot, because you did well against Forest, but then you looked every bit as poor again against Palace.
Yeah, I know.
I thought again. So yeah, I mean, Juve could do it. If you lose to Juve, then it's
1 win in
playoffs
10.
100%. 1 win in 10. Fucking hell.
What's that? Real question. What is actually going on with Pep? Has he lost his marbles or something? LB.
Yeah. I don't know, bro. To be honest with you, like I've got to say, I thought the game against Palace, I think a large part of it is down to Pep and his tactics. I know Walker was
Yeah,
poor,
I
poor
appreciate
again.
you saying that. I don't think Man City fans are saying that enough. I think because he's got such credit in the bank, he can't do
Yeah,
much
but he's
wrong.
got
But
credit
he's
in the
got a
back. I'm
lot
not sitting
wrong.
there saying Pep out, but I'm
No,
just
no, I get that.
yeah, I'm saying, but like I do think a large part of it was down to him. Now, yes, Kyle Walker was poor again and arguably at fault for both goals, but yeah, he abandoned the strategy that worked in the last two games. And I know people say it didn't work against Feyenoord, you drew. Yeah, but that was just a mad crumble. We were 3-0 up and cruising the whole game until he subbed everyone off. The system that he deployed to get ourselves 3-0 up was very good and worked. He played the same system at Forest with different players. It worked. And then the game against Palace, he completely abandoned the tactics and stuck Nunes out on the wing, Bernardo back in field with Gundogan, and it just didn't work, man. So, yeah, that was a little disappointing. I mean, the league was over for me anyway after the Liverpool game, so it didn't really affect me in the sense that like did anything for the league. I still think we'll get top four, to be honest with you. So for me, it's just a case of like I just want the run to end, man. I want to see these players with a smile on their face. They're not smiling. They look down. They look low on confidence. Pep looks low on confidence. You know what I mean? Rico's getting cooked every game by the fans. So I just want to see us win some football matches to lift everyone up because everyone's down at the moment. But
And that's what you need. You're no different to any club in a crisis. It's if you'd have got that Palace win, 2 wins from 2, got a tough away win against Juve, suddenly the confidence comes back. I saw as soon as you guys conceded, and it was very early to Palace, you saw the body language. Yes, you attack well still, but you just don't look invincible like you used to.
Yeah, I agree.
Interesting about Pep though, because he's come out today and said something that I thought was really key. He has stated that I'm not going to manage another team. I'm not talking about my long-term future, but what I'm not going to do is leave Man City and go to another country or do something like he is now. I wouldn't have the energy and thought of starting somewhere else, all the process of training and so on. No. Maybe a national team, but that's different. And I thought what's really interesting about this comment from Pep Guardiola is that we know he's got a couple of years left. Very similar wording to Klopp around, I don't have the energy to go somewhere else and manage again. I wonder if there's a little bit of that at Man City around, I know I've got to rebuild again now, which means it's not the same as going somewhere brand new, but it does mean that you've got to, and you know this about your new signings. I think you're a City fan that admits, typically when you sign somebody new, it takes a year or two to embed them in, get them used to the system. If you do need a bit of an overhaul of your squad, 4 or 5 new players in, 4 or 5 new players out, I do worry that if he is feeling like, I don't even want to manage another club again after this, getting close to that kind of retirement age, if that's also playing a part in the slight decrease at your club. Maybe it is. I think we said it a number of times. Some players are out of form. There's injuries. Some players are not good enough. But could there just be that Pep, and by the way, no one would blame him. He spent the best part of a decade there. He's been the best manager of his generation. He's phenomenal. He's world class. But it's interesting that he's basically saying he's going to retire from club football when he leaves City. But the fact that you can see that horizon now, I just wonder whether that creeps into the dressing room. I always remember when Fergie announced his retirement in 2003 or 4, United fell off that season. And it wasn't until he announced that he was reversed that decision that they started to improve. And I don't know. I read it. I mean, listen, as a United fan, I'm not just glad that he's going to leave City in a couple of years. I'm glad he looks like he's going to retire from club football because he could never hurt my club again.
I mean, me too. I don't want him to go to another club. So when he leaves City, I think he's destined for England after Tuchel, if I'm being honest with you. You know, they only give Tuchel an 18-month contract, something like that. There was talks, weren't there, that the FA did contact Pep Guardiola to say, before we signed this new contract, to say, do you want to take City? Do you want to take City? And he said no. He's saying that he wants to manage a national team. I think he's always said that he fancies a national team. Would he manage Spain? Don't know. Brazil, maybe an option. I think he's going to manage the England squad. I think do this 2 years, yeah, and then I think he'll do England, and he'll take us for 2028 and maybe 2030.
See, I'd love that. And that's also one of the reasons why I don't slag Pep. I criticise, think he does wrong, but it's one of the reasons why I don't go at him, because it's just going to look so stupid one day with all these clips of people calling him a checkbook manager or an overrated and and then going, love you, Pep, when he becomes their national coach. I'd love that. And also, listen, I'm really shameless in this. I hope he does do 2 more years and then retires, because then he can't ever win 13 Premier League titles. Because I am a bit worried that if he stayed another 10, 15 years, he could take Fergie's records, and I hope he doesn't. And I hope he goes. It's also interesting because I would remember the one thing he said about Fergie when Fergie retired. I remember listening to him talk, and he said that what impressed you the most about him. And I'm not going to do the Pep voice, but he basically just said, I don't know how he has maintained the energy in one place for a quarter of a century and maintain the standards. And it's one of the reasons why I look at Fergie in such a great way, not just because he was my manager, to do that when you've literally seen Klopp in the last year say, I'm just burnt out. Pep's now essentially saying, I've got 2 years left, I can't go again. It just shows the brilliance of, but not just the brilliance of what Fergie did, but also football fans have got to, Man United especially, we're never having that again. It's so rare. Like, just it was what it was. It's so hard to get someone to maintain that for that long. And yeah, I'll be happy if he goes. But
25 years he did. Wenger did 22. Did he do 25?
Yeah, 20. He joined in 1985, just before I was born, and he left in 2013. So whatever that is, 26, I think.
Wow, that's insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah, it won't happen. That won't happen again. And I look at what Pep is at the moment. I still don't write Manchester City out of this title race 100% because I don't think anyone ever can. But if you look at the way they're playing, it just ain't good enough.
1986 he joined. It was almost 27 years he was at the club, 26 and a half years. Yeah,
there you go. That's just outstanding, And I don't know. I still think Manchester City can get to January. I think they will do something, and I think that they'll go on to win trophies. That's just what they do, right?
Well, Bruno G's linked in what I've read. It could be 50 to 60 million.
How?
That's what one. Because I think Newcastle need to sell. Eddie Howe's already come out and said they need to sell for FFP.
Oh no!
I checked their transfer marked spending right over the last 3 years. They've spent a lot of. I didn't know this. They spent a lot of money, Newcastle, and they've hardly sold anybody. They've hardly made any, the net spend. They've not got no money into the football club. So I do think they're in a bit of a trouble. How much we can get him for, I don't know. But I'd get him. I'd pay up to 85 mil. He's just turned 27. You'd have him for a good 5, 6, 7 years. And I think he's exactly what this team needs. A little bit of aggression in that midfield because it's too soft. De Bruyne said it himself. So our midfield's too soft, man. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, if we can get Bruno G in January, then we've got a chance of winning the FA Cup and or the Champions League. But as for the Prem's no, we ain't doing the Prem, man. We ain't doing the Prem.
Do you just need that? Do you just need that signing, though, LB? Do you need more than that?
No, we need more. But for a competent 11, fitness wise, put Bruno G in there with Kovacic and De Bruyne, Foden, Haaland, Doku, and then a flat back four of Ake, Gvardiol, Diaz, and Akanji. That can win a Champions League one-off match. You know what I mean? You don't have to be the best team in Europe to win the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? So. We've got a chance of winning the Champions League if we get him, if players can stay fit, but the Prem's just too far gone. Because the thing is, right, you talk about getting to January, that means we're going to win our next 4 Premier League games. And I'm sorry, but that's just arrogant for any City fan to say we're definitely going to win our next 4 Premier League games. We've won 1 in 9. Do you know what I mean? We've won 1 game in 9. So to say that we're going to beat United, Villa, Everton and Leicester with chest, I think is kind of a bit arrogant, to be honest with you. So I'm just sitting here saying, no worries, if we beat them all, if we win all 4 of them games, see where we're at in January, maybe we could be in one. But I don't think we will win all 4 of those games. And then it's already 11
You'll beat Everton.
points.
You'll beat Everton and Leicester. The derby, you never know. Villa, you flip of a coin.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I'm just chilling, man. I'm like, just get me top 4 and have a good chance at this Champions League and FA Cup. And if we can win an FA Cup or a Champions League in a terrible season, that's fucking insane, isn't it? Imagine winning an FA Cup. Like United won an FA Cup last year in a terrible season. Do you know what I mean? How many teams win trophies in awful years?
Yeah, listen, I think... No, I agree. I think predicting winning that many games on the bounce right now is just ridiculous. You don't look good enough to do that. But Bruno Guimaraes, if you can get him for that kind of money, I mean, you're going to have... What I'm intrigued to see is... I mean, it's probably still going to be a Red Cartel that gets blamed for that. It'd be the Red Cartel's fault. obviously, but it would be an excellent signing for you. I think he needs that move.
It's your fault all the time, man. You know what I mean? The red
it's
card
always
is
Man
to blame
United's
for
fault.
everything. I do feel a little bit sorry for Newcastle, but if you've looked at their spending, they've not got any money in. It's actually mad. I think 1 year in the last 3 years, they actually didn't get a single penny in, according to Transfermarkt, which is wild. Like, not a single pound in sales. So, yeah, they're clearly in
I
trouble.
can't believe this FFP thing has so messed them up, man. Like big time screwed them over, and it. Like, let's just be real. Like it's come in and been like hunted down at the wrong time for them.
Do you know what I think's happened with it, right? Genuinely, what I think. I don't think people took it seriously. I feel that people thought that we'll be all right. We'll be able to write this off and write that off, and it'll be okay. And I just feel that I reckon if the clubs could go back 5-6 years ago and kind of start again, they would all spend a lot less and they would all charge a lot less. And I think that everybody got greedy. You'd have, I know Fulham might go, it's hypothetical. We're going to ask for 50 million because everyone's got more money. And they go, yeah, we got 50 mil. We've got to go and buy a replacement who normally they would spend 8 million on. How much it costing? We're charging you 30 mil. And it's like, shit, it's no one's made any money out of this. Everybody became a little bit too greedy. And it's, I understood, you used to be able to get players off the other teams in England for much lesser amounts of money. Suddenly it was costing 80 odd millions to get like a Leicester centre back. But all that ended up doing was costing Leicester more money, and then
exactly. And the same thing happened to us when we first got our money. So we started buying players, right? And everyone just put the prices up, and then we got blamed. It's like, you've inflated the market. It's like, no. Not our fault that we tried to buy Jolie and Lescott from Everton, and they went 25 million. It's like, what we meant to do is not buy anyone. Everyone knows we're rich. Everyone knows we've got the cash. Yeah. So what we just meant just never buy players because everyone's going to rip us off. We've got to buy players. If we've got the money, we're going to have to spend it. It's like, you're right. At the end of the day, like, is it really the buyer's club, the buyer's fault, or is it actually the seller's fault? They're the ones that have inflated the market by saying you've got their cash, so we're going to charge you this.
Yeah, it's like the housing market. Who is it that really inflated it? Was it the people buying the houses or people selling the houses? It was the people that were saying, I could charge anything I want, because they'll give a mortgage for anything people want. And it spiraled out of control. There's a comment here that says, Terry, Pep never buys from the top six players, top six best players to wearing them, bro. Pep don't do that. He goes outside of England. Are you trying to suggest that Fergie only bought players from the top six? Let's go through that. We know he bought Van Persie in the summer of his last season, so cool. The year before that, he bought a player from Blackburn and one from Villa. Season before that, the only Premier League club he bought from was Fulham. Season before that, Wigan. Season before that, he bought Berbatov from Tottenham, but there was no such thing as a top six in 2008. There was a top four. So, no, he didn't. Season before that, West Ham, he got Carlos Tevez from. Season before that, Spurs, Michael Carrick. Spurs weren't nothing back then. Season before that, now, we're all the way back in 2005 here, by the way, now. Fulham, we got Van der Sar from Fulham. They definitely weren't a top four team. Season before that, we got Rooney from Everton. Everton were not a top four team. They weren't the year after, but they weren't a top four team. Year before that, we got Louis Saha from Fulham. They weren't a top four team. 2002, we got Rio Ferdinand from Leeds. Decent team at the time, so I'll give you that one, even though they're not in the top six now. Season before that, we bought Roy Carroll from Wigan. Season before that, we didn't buy anybody. In 2000, we bought nobody from a Premier League team. In 1999, nobody. No, we bought Mark Bosnich. We got Mark Bosnich on free. So, no, we weren't from anybody. We got Dwight York from Aston Villa, who weren't a top four team in 98. We got Henning Berg from Blackburn in 1997 and Sheringham from Tottenham. They weren't top four teams. Season before that, we didn't buy anyone from an English side. 1995, we bought a player from Luton. They might have been. We got a player also for £500,000, Tony Cottee from City. I didn't remember that. Andy Cole from Newcastle. They were a big team when we bought them in 94, so I'll give you that one. We're going back to 94 now. We've gone back 30 fucking years, and we've got like 3 examples. 93, no top 4 team we bought from. We got from Forest. We bought Cantona from Leeds. Give you that one, maybe a big team back then. Paul Parker from QPR. Dennis Irwin from Oldham. Big up Oldham, top 4 team, mate. 1989, Middlesbrough, big up top 4 team, mate. 1988, Mark Hughes from Barcelona. Well, they're the one in the Prem, Barca, aren't they? 1987, Brian McClare from Celtic. What a big team. We did buy from a big team back then, though. We bought Viv Anderson from Arsenal in 1987 And in 1986, he wasn't even the manager in that summer. So what we've done there, boys, over 27 years, we've managed to find, 4 or 5 players from the traditional sort of top teams. Fuck off with that lie that the media pushes. You are manipulated by the lies from the media that Fergie every season, this is what they say, Fergie every season brought the best players from the best teams in England to stop them from winning. It's a fundamental fucking lie. We were only the biggest spenders in a summer on 3 occasions in those 27 years as well. Fucking lying media scumbag pricks. Anyway, sorry. I always
You're
protect
on one today, aren't you? He's on one today.
Yeah,
no,
man.
I'm sick and tired of Man United being fucking lied about. It gets on my nerves. And the lies about Sir Alex Ferguson are they're just ridiculous. The things, some people say it was easy for him. He didn't go up against any decent teams. This man was managing when fucking Clough was about, bruv. People don't even realize how good certain teams in the early 90s, how good the Evertons were, how good the Leeds were that he was up against. Up against Wenger's fucking Arsenal. Up against a Newcastle team that should have won the league twice and that we stopped them. Up against the early money of both City and Chelsea, like we'd never seen before, where you could spend £1 billion and no one cared and no one could believe it. Saw them all off. Mugs had it fucking easy. Honest to God, what a load of shit. Ask LB about Bruno G, 66 million quid. We kind of already done that.
I'll pay 85. There you go. I think it's me.
Oh, just to help out your oil brothers.
Yeah, help them out, innit? Do you know what I mean? We got the cash.
I get that. Yeah, you probably have.
Would you rather have him than Zubimendi, LB?
Yeah, I would rather have him than Zubimendi, yeah. He's
What,
more
Premier
aggressive.
proven,
Well, yeah, Premier League, but he's more what we need. He's more physical. We need physicality in our midfield, man. Our midfield is...
You can play in both as well. You can play in the 6 and the 8, Bruno.
Yeah, no, I like him. I like Bruno. But,
Yeah,
bro,
so
that's what they're saying. But I'd pay 80, 85, whatever. Like, don't bother me. It's not my money. That's what I always say. Like, I don't care what people spend. Like, it's not my cash, innit? You know what I mean? I'm not getting a
City
dividend.
don't really spend much money, do they, anyway? So I can see why you
Spend
want
25 million euros in the summer, mate. You know what I mean?
and the rest of how
And
much
you guys
spent over
out
the
here
last
spending
decade.
75, more than double the amount of my football club, and still only 2 points ahead of us.
Well, I'm not going to talk about my club and our spending. That's just embarrassing where we sit
mate.
right now. Oh, mate, I know. I'm not going to see you between now and then. How do you think the derby's going to go on Sunday, LB?
Oh, mate. To be honest, I don't know, mate. I'm hoping that we win. I think we will win. If we've got players fit, if we can stick Grealish in the middle, De Bruyne's fit and Haaland's fit and Diaz are fit, and a Kanji can play. Basically our whole team. I think we'll be all right. I do think we'll win, but not that confident. But I just feel that if we can put out a half decent 11, we will win the game.
It's going to be Oldham versus Salford, isn't it?
Well, we're playing Salford in the FA Cup.
No, I'm joking.
I mean,
The Forest games made me more nervous because if having, I've already said about what the sort of the weak tabloid junkie minds of certain United fans are like. You lose 3 league games on the bounce, the player FC is gonna come out. You're gonna hear this isn't Portugal. We've bought a dud. It's coming out, and because some of them are gonna go early because they want the social media traction as well. They're gonna go early, so I just hope it doesn't happen. I want to win for more than just the derby. We need to also win the Europa League game Thursday night. We need to win our next 2 games. And I don't know how we beat you. I know you've not been in great form, but this could be a game of absolute calamities as well. It could be an absolute, just both teams defending. Also, the game after we played Tottenham in the League Cup. That could be identical. It could just be 2 teams go, just saying, let's have a go. Just having a slugfest. I reckon both games, though, the Manchester derby and our game against Spurs, I think they're going to be high-level entertainment for a neutral.
Mm.
Well.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think we both need to win, innit? You know what I mean? We're both struggling at the moment. We both need to win the game. There's no reason for it to be a cagey football match. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I don't know what's going to happen. But if we can put an half-decent 11 out there, which I think we can, based off of the players that have come back to training today, Kovacic is back, Foden's back, I think Akanji will be back soon, then I think we'll get it done. But, this is a good opportunity for United as well. They're coming to City. We're not playing well. The crowd, if we get off to a poor start, we're at home, which is not always the best. When you're not playing well, Not his best being at home. That's why I said the Juventus match tomorrow for us. Maybe that's a good thing that we're away. Sometimes when you're playing poorly, yeah, you don't want to be in front of your home fans because every loose pass, every miscontrol, you've got the fans like moaning and that. You know what I mean?
Having said that, you've lost 5 and lost 5 and drawn 1 of your last away games.
Mate, we're just poor anyway. Home or away. I'm just chatting. I don't even know what's happening, man. To be honest with you.
No, I didn't even know that until when you went 2-1 down the Palace game. I think the commentator said it, and you hear what they say, and then you go and have a look at the stat. Where is it here? If you look at City's fixtures and look at their away games across all comps, yeah, you lost 5 on the bounce, and then you drew to Palace.
Yeah, we're just cooked in it, I think.
Home form's been better. Home form ain't even that bad, really. You've had in that bad run. You've had 3 home games. You lost the Spurs. You drew with Feyenoord and you beat Forest. Like your home form's been all right. It's been that away form. Like I wish you were coming to Old Trafford. I think we could beat you right now. I know we lost at the weekend, but 2 of them mistakes were just mad. I don't think it'll happen again. I think we could beat you at Old Trafford. I just don't think we've got it in us yet to. We're not settled enough to go to the Etihad and win. I hope we do. As bad because your record isn't. Yeah, your home. Yeah, nah, we're not going to do it. I hope we do. Maybe my mind will change come Sunday, but right now my gut's saying I'd take a draw. Take a draw. Just take it now.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's it like, LB? What's it like, LB, being dragged down into these Champions League discussions now and all that? You enjoying it? Bit of competition finally?
It's different, man. I can't lie. It's different. You know what I mean? It's I'm having a lot of like mid conversations. You know what I'm saying? Like usually at the top of the table, I'm like talking about the elite level players. You know what I mean? I'm only speaking to like Liverpool. I'm speaking about Salah. I'm now having to speak to Tottenham fans, which is a bit weird. You know, I've never done that before. You know what I mean? We're in a top 4 race with Tottenham. Tottenham fans are now getting on to me. You know what I mean? Try to have conversations and that. So yeah, it's weird, man. I'm mixing with some new friends, new enemies. You know what I mean? New relationships will be made. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'll tell you the truth.
Bro,
Yeah,
I'll give you some advice, bro. Don't listen to Tottenham fans. You don't have to worry about them. They're not going to be a problem.
Is that what you're saying? Don't listen to Tottenham fans.
Yeah, just honestly, man. Let it go in one ear.
The way you got to look at it when it comes to Spurs fans is, yes, in the last 10 years, if we go last 20 years, all of us have been in the mud at some point out of the top 6.
Yeah.
But the rest of us, we're like the rich billionaires who have gone up or fallen upon hard times, who will make it back to the top again. But you're right broke at the minute, and you're with the Tottenham fans, same as us. But they've always been broke. They've never had it. Like they don't know what. Do you know what I'm saying? They're never going to get to the top. So we're not the same. We're just going for a bad patch. Speaking of amazing patches and amazing things, is Cole Palmer the best player in the Premier League right now?
No, he's not. And I love the guy. Yeah, I said my club should never have sold him at the time, so I can't be cooked for it. Yeah, but there's one man all heads must bow to right now. Yeah,
Saka.
In the words of Tyson, and it's Saka. Oh my God, you are shameless. You are shameless.
No, I'm joking. You know I'm joking.
Are you joking?
Yes, I am, man. It's Salah.
It's Salah, man. Mohamed Salah at the moment for me. I think he's the best player in the world. I think someone said to me Rafinha's cooking as well. Listen, I ain't seen too much of Rafinha at the moment, to be honest, so I don't know, but I know he is cooking. But for me, I think Mohamed Salah, for me at the moment, if he carries on like this, he's going to win Ballon d'Or. He's going to win Ballon d'Or next year, man. The guy's like insane. I check his record, yeah. GNA, there. Impact, there. He's winning games for Liverpool, there. I think this guy's a freak, man. Like, to be honest with you, I've said this a few times here, but my respect for Mohamed Salah as a fan has actually increased massively over the last 2 years, 3 years. Because it's one thing doing it for like 4 years, 5 years. When you start doing it for like 6, 7 years, which he's doing it, that's when, for me, you start entering the elite level category for me. And listen, is he the prettiest player to watch in terms of aesthetics and all that? No. Yeah? Hazard was clear in terms of aesthetics and that. But you have to respect the constant output of goals. He is a goal machine. And the fact that he doesn't even play as a natural striker, he plays off of the right. for me, is just incredible. I think for me now, he's probably the best right winger we've ever seen in the Premier League, in my opinion. In terms of I think yeah, something has to be said about the sheer number of volume of goals and assists that this guy's putting out. And I know G&A is not everything. I know there's more to that than football. But at the end of the day, the aim of the game is to put the ball in the net. So for me, yeah, Salah, I think he's playing his way to a Ballon d'Or. And the fact that he wasn't even nominated last year, he didn't even get in the top 30
That's
or
a
40.
disgrace, by the way.
Like, bro, what the hell is going on there, man? Do you know what I mean?
That
What
is
these
a
journalists
disgrace.
doing? That's kind of mad. So, yeah, for me, Salah is, I think he's the best player in the
Yeah,
world
look,
right now.
I can't disagree with what LB said about Salah. I think he's unbelievable. I've always thought he was phenomenal. I think you have to mention what Palmer is doing at the moment. And I do put him in world football at the moment, what Palmer's doing. I don't put him in just the league. I think he's that good. I do think he's unbelievable. But Salah, I think he's 17 goals off the top 5 ever in the Premier League, and he's not even a striker. Do you know what I mean? That is incredible. And I think when people talk about him being maybe he might get into a Premier League 11, I think he walks into the right-hand side because some people might not like him, as LB said, in terms of how gifted he might be. But when you look at the goals and assists and what those goals and assists have won the team in Liverpool's reign under Salah, he's won everything there is to win in football. I have had arguments with Liverpool fans. I think he is by far better than what Gerrard is now.
Same.
I think Salah is ahead of Gerrard. They don't. They think Gerrard's better, and Gerrard always will be. And it's underappreciated what Gerrard did when he wasn't surrounded by these players. But for me, Salah is he's number one for me in the Premier League and Liverpool. And I think he walks into it now. I think he's quite disrespected. I understand that people might not put him in some of the brackets in his prime, other than some of the names you want to throw alongside him. And I can appreciate that you might look at Ronaldo and Beckham and Giggs and Bale and Hazard and have that conversation. But Salah, for me, walks in on the right-hand side now. And yeah, at the moment, he's still doing it at 32.
Surely he's got a better a Premier League legacy than Gerrard. Gerrard didn't even win one for starters. He was arguably at fault for the reason that they didn't win one when he fell over. He's then been memed to hell when he said, "Don't let it slip," and then he slipped. Like, for me, like, listen, respect Gerrard. I'm not trying to shit on him, but like, I just think as a neutral in this conversation, I don't see how Liverpool fans can say that Salah has not been a better Premier League player than Gerrard.
Yeah.
I've struggled to see how you can say that.
I think there's a thing with Liverpool fans that I think it's the diehard locals that I think when they look at a Trent, when they look at a Gerrard, there is a connection because they are one of them. I remember listening to James Redmond, and I don't know if he's changed his stance on this, but he sort of spoke about Gerrard being he'd go and how much he loves Trent. And he said, because he's one of me, he's from the same streets as me, the same background as me. And I understand that local connect. And I get that. And that's why I think Jamie Carragher kind of, I'm not saying he's trying to damage Mo Salah deliberately, but I think there's an element of, if I praise Salah too high, I put him above Gerrard, and I don't want to put anybody above Gerrard. And I think there's an element in that from a sector of Liverpool fans. I think the majority have woken up to the fact that, of course, he's been a better player for us than Gerrard in the Premier League era. On Palmer, look, I will say this: I love Palmer. I think he's amazing, and I'm kind of annoyed. I was always hopeful that Man United could get him one day. Not if Chelsea keep progressing the way they are. He's going to stay for a long time. He's brilliant. What I find interesting about it is he scored 2 penalties at the weekend. I have no issue with that. I think penalties are real goals. I've always stood up for it. And he's getting praised because he scored 2 penalties. There's been other players in the Premier League that when they score penalties, they get given funny nicknames like Panan this and Panodo this and Pen Saka and Mo. I don't even know what Mo Salah's was, but similar versions. It's funny how like some players can score a penalty and it's like, wow, look at the goals. Other players score penalties and they, you've all seen the graphs. Oh, yes, he has 35 goals this season. But if you remove the penalties, it's only 25. I hate all that shit. And I'm glad they're not doing it to Palmer because Palmer deserves credit. He deserves his flowers. He's a goal scorer. He's a creator. He's a phenomenal football player. He really is. Last 18 months, I think he's close to what Mo Salah has done. But Mo Salah has just been impeccable. And I don't like it because he's a Liverpool player and I'm United and they're my biggest rivals. But he deserves so much more credit than he gets. And it reminds me of Ryan Giggs. Now, different players. Ryan Giggs wasn't an inside forward or a winger in the modern day sense playing near goal. He was a left-sided midfield player. But for so many years, and it's probably on us as Man United fans, Giggs was always we love Giggs. But he was never the star that we pushed forward. He was never the star of our team. It was always, I think about Mo Salah in his time at Liverpool. A lot of Liverpool fans put Mane above him for a long period. Van Dijk, Henderson was getting a lot more credit as a captain. Trent was a kind of face and name. And I think that they've got it wrong, Liverpool fans. I think that they should have made the poster boy the whole time should have been Mohamed Salah, because I think he's been better than and more consistent than every single one of those players. And some of them have been amazing, by the way. We're sort of splitting hairs amongst great players here. I think he is on course for a Ballon d'Or. And I've said it for the last 2 or 3 seasons, and he's continued to do it. If he keeps scoring and assisting the way he is, and he adds a couple more major trophies, which Liverpool could do this year, if he adds another Prem and another Champions League, signs this new deal that's been offered as well. Listen, he's challenging Henry for supremacy as the GOAT of the Premier League. He just is. He's challenging. I'm not saying he'll beat him, but he's challenging him. And the one thing he may have at the end over Henry is maybe more goals, maybe more assists, and then maybe more major trophies won with him as the linchpin. Plus, he'll have Liverpool and the media machine behind him they have to push that narrative. And I think he's on course for it. I really, really do.
No, I agree. Even as a gooner, I agree. I think if he does do that, like everything you've just said there, if he actually ends his career and he's got more goals, he's got more assists, he's won more trophies, you can't really say that he isn't better than as the Premier League GOAT then. I mean, there's nothing the stats will say and the facts will say
like I said,
he's better than him. You know what I mean?
I think it's a conversation to have at a point. A lot of people in the comments saying, no, he won't, Terry. Listen, I'm saying all I've said is he'll be in that conversation, and he will be in that conversation. And I think that conversation needs to happen. And I think people need to be more open to the idea that it isn't Henry. I love Thierry Henry. Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel for too many years, every time another person's name's been mentioned, there hasn't been a debate. It's just been no. And I've never liked that. It's always rubbed me up the wrong way. But on Palmer, listen, Palmer's been amazing the last 18 months. Chelsea fans should be over the moon. I thought he was phenomenal against Tottenham. And you'll get the whole doesn't do it enough against the big teams. Hasn't done this yet. Hasn't done that yet. He's basically in his second full season as a first-team player. He's going to... I think it is almost certain in his career he's going to score a lot of goals, create a lot of goals against the kind of traditional top 6. He's probably going to go on to be influential in winning trophies. But what you can't start doing is holding that against him because he hasn't done it yet at his age. As a player of the age he is, the experience he's got, he's absolutely phenomenal from an outputs point of view. If we just keep this to Chelsea for a moment, if he maintains this for 3 or 4 or 5 years, he's on course to go. I feel like he's set a foundation to become a Chelsea Premier League legend already. He's got to add the big trophies like the boys did. But you think about the goals and the assist ratio. I swear it's better than any wide player or 10 they've had. Barring Lampard from deep and Drogba, I can't think of a Chelsea player in the Prem era who has such great consistency of scoring and creating goals at the regularity that he does. Hazard was amazing. Gianfranco Zola was brilliant. Robin was good for a while. But I feel like from an output point of view, this man leaves them all behind, especially at his age. And he hasn't even been in a Chelsea team as good as all those other people were. Imagine how good he could be when this Chelsea team gets better and better.
Yeah, well, if he stays at Chelsea, if he stays at Chelsea for a long period of time, he could go down as one of those greats in terms of the numbers and what he's doing. If he continues to consistently deliver, I mean, Man City have massively dropped the ball, haven't they? I know LB said they had, but my God, like they had him there and he was being spoken about. I remember Man City people talk like fans. I don't know many. But the ones that I do know were saying, oh, this Cole Palmer kid is going to be the next one that's coming through. I was like, oh, well, it'd be interesting to see him, another Foden on our hands here. And then they just sold him. And I'm like, wow. They obviously didn't think he was going to be that good. They were wrong. He's phenomenal.
I said it at the time, man. I said, this is a mistake. You know what I mean? I said it on my channel. The video's still there. This is a mistake. And we told him, man. And the fact that he didn't even want to leave, he just wanted to go on loan, and we still forced him out the door is wild. But anyway,
crazy.
And we can't speak about it every day, so what it is, what it is.
No. Boys, always a pleasure to sit and speak. We're really sorry that we were end up being 40 minutes or so going late because of StreamYard issues, but LB saved the day with OBS. Please hit the like button before you leave. And as we already mentioned, go and check out our new community page for anyone who already is a member. You can transfer your membership across. Go and check it out. We've got our first watch party together tomorrow evening as well for the Champions League games as well. That and much, much more. So either scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link that is pinned to the live chat now and go and have a look. Boys, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace. Oh, actually, I've got to turn it off on this one. There we go.